It's my great pleasure to introduce a friend, a colleague, thought leader that I've known for the past 6 years. I moved to Peoria from Chicago, and I remember the first time that I met Chad. He was teaching as an adjunct instructor as well as working at Iona. And in the flurry of coming to the Peoria area and trying to get my feet on the ground as a new chair, as a new faculty member, he quickly, we shared a bond, and believe it or not, it wasn't technology, I believe it was food. As we began to talk a little bit about our favorite Thai restaurants in Chicago, and the things that we were gravitating towards on a social basis. And from there, I had the opportunity to learn how amazing Chad really is. I think in the 20 years that I've worked in industry and academia, I've come across a few people that have the ability to speak to a variety of audiences, that have the ability to connect to people, and have the ability to actually build the things that they dream of. And for the past 6 years, I've had the pleasure of actually seeing Chad do that in action. Beyond that, I've also seen the impact that he's had on organizations that he's had the opportunity to touch. Within his capacity as an instructor at Bradley University, he has had the opportunity to interact with hundreds of students. But beyond that, he's been my colleague, and he's had an opportunity to guide the policy and the strategies of the curriculum that we've developed within a department that's growing leaps and bounds on a yearly basis, and I'm extremely grateful for that. In the last year, I've seen him grow and develop as the managing director of Float Mobile Learning, and to see the organization grow and blossom under his direction and leadership. And it's been amazing to see what he's been able to do with this organization in a very short period of time in what is definitely an evolving environment. So with that, it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend, my colleague, my confidant, my drinking buddy, Chad Udell.
Thank you very much, Jim, for the kind words, and thank you, President Glasser, for being here. And obviously, thank you very much to Bradley University and the Slane College of Communications and Fine Arts for putting on this great event. We are so pleased to be here, and we are so pleased to have such an overwhelming response to our first event. When we first started talking about putting this on several months ago, there was some talk, well, maybe we'll get 20 attendees, maybe we'll get 25 attendees, maybe we'll get 50. Well, if we get 50, then we should probably break it into 2 tracks. Well, if we break it into 2 tracks, we better hope that we get more than that. And today, we have nearly 100 attendees here today. This is fantastic, overwhelming response. We are so very, very pleased. And I think it just goes to speak to the level of interest that people have in mobile technology, right? This touches virtually every aspect of our lives. The amount of information that we can consume, that we can digest, that we can process and then use has been increased exponentially. I know I'm a lot smarter now that I have a Google in my pocket wherever I go, right? I think that everyone here can probably attest to that same fashion. So I wanted to take a few minutes here today to talk a little bit about kind of the situation that we're all facing, and then hopefully put a seed in your mind so that as you go through today, you understand that while we face a great challenge, there is a huge opportunity for all of us. So let's talk about a little bit of mobile learning. So again, welcome. And as anyone here that has been following Float Mobile Learning's blog over the last year and a half, you'll know that we put a lot of great content out there and a lot of serious content, but we don't like to take ourselves too seriously. So many thanks to Matt, our talented illustrator, for putting together this imagery, and thanks to BJ Aberly, who assisted in the presentation materials as well. And it was a great fun, I think, exercise. We had a lot of good times putting this stuff together. It's always fun to sit and brainstorm with Matt and figure out, well, how are we going to put a funny twist on this article and put a cartoon or an image out there that makes people think, you know, and hopefully it's on a couple different levels, right? There's the technical end or the strategic end, but then there's also this visceral end. I mean, because obviously, with us being so connected and with people taking the phones out of their pockets so often, this is absolutely a part of our lives, just like comedy or any other type of media that we like to consume. So, you know, a note of thanks. Beyond just Float being here, we've got great speakers from all across the United States and beyond. So we're very, very pleased to be able to bring so much thought leadership here to Peoria, and as a former Bradley student and alum, I am extremely proud to be able to help do that. So thank you very, very much about that. We all are facing, we all are facing a number, sorry. We all are facing a dangerous, potentially dangerous time, right? There are sharks ahead. The sharks ahead could be the looming deadline for a new device that's coming to market. The sharks ahead could be the relaunch of our new website. The sharks could be a new product that needs to have training or companion applications out there. What we're all seeing shouldn't be necessarily seen as a fellow that was walking towards a perilous walk on a short pier. It should be looked at as an opportunity. This is, in essence, our faster horse moment, right? And by faster horse moment, what I'm really trying to say is this is akin to the situation in which Henry Ford stated that if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have told me a faster horse, right? He's also been known to say, or the famous quote, if you can have any type of color of Model T that you want as long as it's black, right? This might be seen to think that Henry Ford didn't want to get people's input, that he didn't care for market research, that he didn't listen to the people that are around him. And I don't think that really what that means is that this faster horse moment is a time in which you shut down and put the blinders on and barrel ahead. This is a time when you survey the landscape, you talk to your stakeholders, you talk to the individuals that you're working with on a daily basis, people across your entire organization. Get out of the building that you're in, go into another building, talk to the people in marketing, or talk to the people in learning, or talk to the people in business strategy or accounting, or whatever is appropriate for you at that particular juncture, and get their input and help you guide what you're doing. It doesn't mean that you have to shut down the effort until you get everybody aligned, but as what we're talking about, people aren't necessarily very good at describing solutions. You know, it automatically will turn into, especially when you talk about mobile, the faster horse moment, and when people describe solutions, they say, I want an app. I want an app for that. But they are very good at describing their problems. People will say, we're having difficulty getting information to people when they're away from the office. We're having difficulty relaying new information about a product when it's out in the field. We're having difficulty letting people know when a particular piece of machinery or a vehicle needs service. We're having difficulty diagnosing problems when something breaks down on an antenna 100 feet up in the air. Hopefully you're buckled in. But I think what that says is that there's a huge opportunity as you go through this process to take those problems, right, and then you, as the expert, can help create that solution. So the faster horse being the app or the mobile web or the text messaging solution is your time to take that in and then maybe iterate on it. So in order to iterate on that a little bit, I actually had Matt generate what we thought might be some faster horses. Again, you know, we all know that it didn't end up like these, right? I don't think this would even be very safe at all. And I'm not really quite sure exactly how we would even create one of these. Thank you very much for any chuckles. My wife groaned rather audibly when I showed her these. So I do appreciate any level of humor that you're willing to forgive me on these. But I think really it speaks to the fact that when Henry Ford was faced with his faster horse moment, he didn't create an eight-legged monstrosity, right? He created something that transformed the landscape, transformed how people got from point A to point B, obviously, but it also transformed the household, right? There was an influx of jobs and productivity and all kinds of things that actually changed. And I think that mobile phones have done virtually the same thing. If you take a look at, as we've come out of a trough or are coming out of a trough, and jobs may not necessarily be being added into the overall landscape, but one of the things that we have seen is a dramatic increase in productivity, and I would eventually guess that mobile technology has been a huge boon for that. So if we take a look, really, there are a lot of similarities between these two historical figures, right? Steve Jobs probably sees a little bit of Henry Ford in himself. I mean, obviously, he's dressed in a fashionable black turtleneck, but both of these individuals are often misunderstood or misquoted, right? It seemed to think that, that neither of them want any input from the people that they're around, that neither of them take any level of guidance, but you can't be successful and you can't be a transformative figure, especially in your organizations, without listening to the people that are around you and understanding what your customers need and the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis are telling you as far as what their problems are. So what I'm saying is take that faster horse moment and turn it into a question back to them and say, well, why do we think that we need an app? Or why do we think we need a new text messaging platform? Or why do we think that we need a mobile website that does X, Y, and Z feature? What are we actually trying to really accomplish here? Just take one step back, maybe two. Hopefully you're not the guy on the pier and standing in the wrong direction. But, the reason for this is because if we take a look at these two sectors, what I was just kind of talking about, the computer, the internet, and the mobile device, contrasted with the automobile, the speed at which this technology has changed our lives and changed our work and changed our homes is dramatically been ramped up. So to think that this is around the corner or around the bend is a fool's thought. It is here. We have devices in virtually everyone's pockets. We have mobile devices in just about everyone's homes, and they're being sold at an alarming rate. Well, actually, I don't think it's so alarming. I kind of like it. But at a very, very fast clip, right? I mean, turn around one day and there's no such thing as iCloud. Turn around the next day, you can put 25 gigs of storage up into hopefully somewhere that's really nice and safe. But North Carolina, with a gigantic data center, and access that from your phone on the go via a 3G network or perhaps faster, wherever you are. It's pretty amazing. When you take a look at how it compares to the previous generation of giants, I would say, in the first boom of the web, Netscape and AOL, you can see that the adoption of iPhone and iPod Touch devices makes Netscape and AOL combined look pretty darn small. I mean, we're talking about a nation, a world of instantly on, always connected individuals that are able to respond to and need to have information at their fingertips all the time. I'm almost kind of helpless if I can't access Google Maps.